this is Nicole Phillips. Nicole, I just finished your book and it's incredible. The Negativity Remedy. How are ya?
I'm doing great. Thank you for reading the book. Now I know one person has read it, so that's great. I'll put a little check mark on my chalkboard.
I'm sure a lot of people have read this book. And if you haven't read this book, you need to read this book because it's honestly, Nicole, it made me laugh. It made me smile a lot. And I related to so much of what you were talking about. And you humanize something that is sometimes hard to humanize, especially when we'll talk a little bit about it, but the inner meaning that everyone has. So
yeah. When people say they relate to the book, I'm always like, sorry, I was hoping it was just me, but maybe other people struggle with that inner meaning too.
So tell us about the Negativity Remedy.
The Negativity Remedy was actually a book that I started probably about 6 years ago. And I had the outline for it all written down. And then I got breast cancer. That was 5 years ago. So I kind of put everything on hold and, took care of my health and my family and got everybody back on track. And then about 2 years ago, something in the back of my head just said, it's time to write that book. And I hadn't thought about it for, several years. And so I thought, all right, let's do it. So I pulled it out and I actually wrote that book as my husband had just lost his job. We picked up and we moved from southeastern Ohio to Aberdeen, South Dakota. And we didn't have Wi-Fi. We were living in a college rental during that summer. And so I wrote it at a coffee shop. So, it was certainly, there were certainly things that were pulling against me staying in the lane of like, hey, you don't have to be negative in all these situations. There was a lot pulling against me, but luckily that book kept me on track.
Wow. I mean, that was therapy for you, it sounds like, though, too.
Yeah, it was. And I had thought, I had lived all of these experiences and I had come up with these tools and these tricks that I knew would work for other people, but to have to go back and use them yourself as you're writing it, it's humbling.
So one of the things that I related to was the inner meaning. And I just want you to describe what that is, because as a person who always, honestly, and it's work, right? It's work to always try to be kind and try to think, even though you do it, it does get easier, but it's work. But there's an inner meaning that comes out.
Yeah, it's work because we have this inner meaning that lives inside of us. It's this voice inside our head that is constantly making judgment calls about ourselves and other people. And, it's the voice that says that person is offending me. It's the one that, when you're driving and somebody pulls out in front of you and then like slows down. So all of a sudden you have to put on your brakes and you're like, gah. That's your inner meaning, the one that wants to like just ram right into their bumper.
You know that story, right? From ePIFanyNow. That's how we all started with ePIFanyNow.
Good. Yeah. It is, huh?
Yeah. Somebody cut in front of me and I was so angry and I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't going anywhere, but I was, except Friday night at home to do laundry, and somebody cut in front of me and I just had this vision of me running into them.
You're
saying,
serious.
Well, you weren't paying and I said, you weren't paying any attention out loud. And then I heard a voice that said, well, were you paying attention? And I don't know about you, but I talked to myself and I was like, that doesn't matter right now. And that's how it all started.
I did not know that. I thought you were joking when you said that's how it started for ePIFanyNow.
No,
that's really great.
That's how it started. So,
wow.
Yeah. One of the things that you point out, which was the biggest aha for me, and I do this in my own life, is in the book you talk about 3 points that most people have that their thought patterns fall into, and that is hurry, worry, or jury. Will you explain that real quickly?
Yeah, I love to ask people like, have you ever thought about what you're thinking about on a regular basis? And when we stop and think, what do I think about? Where do I park my brain? A lot of people will say, well, I'm always thinking about what I need from the grocery store. I'm always thinking about what's next on my to-do list. I'm always thinking about, oh, I got to buy this present for this person and get it in the mail by Friday, So it's this hurry, like I got to do this and then this and then this. And the second is worry. We sit in that spot many times of just fear. And some of it is legitimate, right? There's a lot of things, there's a lot of unknowns right now. But when we allow ourselves to park our brain in that spot of fear, what if there's a school shooting in my kid's school? What if we get COVID, and what if my father gets COVID and he dies, before I get a chance to go see him again? All of those sorts of things. And then we have the jury. And the jury was kind of my specialty about 10 years ago, because I sort of proclaimed myself the judge and jury over myself and everybody else. And the problem is, no one ever measures up to another person's judgment. At some point, we all fall short. And so if we're in the hurry, if we're in the jury, if we're in the worry, that means our brain is being occupied by something other than the space in which we can notice other people and act kindly towards them, or we can change those thoughts. We can kind of move those jury thoughts into, I wonder what's going on in her life that she is so distracted when she's driving right now. I wonder if she's just really tired or overworked, or coming off a shift at the hospital. Like, what's happening in that person's life? When we can get over the hurry, worry, and jury, we can create space for kindness.
I love that. That's incredible. You also explain something that I think is amazing, and I get a lot, which is the helper's high. And I always say it's the biggest legal drug out there. If people would just discover it, it would like revolutionize everyone.
I know. Okay, we are of the same heart, because that is exactly how I felt about the very first time I felt it. And that was 10 years ago. And right before that I was an alcoholic. I was a drinker and a smoker and an overeater. I was angry at my husband all the time, and I was very depressed. And so that's where I was when I randomly decided to do this act of kindness for this young teenage mom. And I didn't change her life by handing her some money to, fill up her gas tank and take her kid to McDonald's. But I changed my life, because I got back into my car and I was like, what just happened? Like, I have this high on like anything I'd ever experienced from any of the bad decisions. And so what I later found out is that there are actually 4 feel-good chemicals that are released into the body when you do an act of kindness. And so when we are the giver, the receiver, or even the witness of an act of kindness, those chemicals start to flow in our body. So there's this great physiological response that happens, along with just this, sort of happiness about having been able to be a part of an act of kindness.
Well, Nicole, what I love about your book too is that, when I picked it up, I was thinking I was going to be reading something. I was thinking Nicole's a guru. Like, she's just like so elevated because because I know that it's hard to do this all the time. And what I love is that you're so human and you're so, approachable. I've never met you before, but I feel like I've known you forever. And it really comes across in your book. I want people to buy this book. How do they do that?
You can go to anywhere they sell books, or you can just stay at home since it's maybe cold out where you are. And you can go on Amazon. You can buy it from there. It's called The Negativity Remedy: Unlocking More Joy, Less Stress, and Better Relationships Through Kindness.
I absolutely recommend it. Another thing that you talk about is replace negative thoughts by having a mantra, which was life-changing. So when those thoughts come in, your mantra, you know what to say.
Exactly. Because you know what? All of us are going to have those thoughts that slide in. Why is she wearing such a short skirt? Or, why is he yelling at his kids? You don't mean to. And then the next thing you know, you're like, wow, like I am really dogging on this person. So when that happens,
that person could be you.
Pardon me?
That person could be you. You're dogging on you.
Oh yeah. You get out of the shower. Why do I look so bad? Ugh. Whatever it is, I've been there. I have had those thoughts. So when I really was learning to be intentional and systematic about kindness, it had to begin in my thoughts. And so I would reject the negative thought simply by saying, I reject that thought. But then I needed to move my brain to a new spot. And so that's where the mantra came in. So for me, it was 9 words that I wanted to add more of in my life. I wrote them down on a piece of paper. I put them in my pocket. And when a negative thought would arise, I'd say, I reject that thought. And then I would think about the words on the piece of paper. love, joy, peace, patience. And then I'd forget. So I'd pull out my piece of paper. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Those were things I wanted to develop in my life, and having them there to memorize not only reminded me of the qualities I was looking for in myself, but also moved my brain away from that negative thought. I have this book and I have two others that I wrote before that. And those two other books are short stories of kindness. Both of them contain 100 short stories of kindness. So if you just need to reroute a bad day, picking up one of those books, picking up just one story from one of those books is sure to remind you that humans are pretty wonderful.
I always end every interview by asking the same question, and that is, Nicole Phillips, what are you grateful for?
I am grateful for my mama. We have gone through a lot of struggles. When I was in third grade, she fell in love and married a prison inmate. And so that took a lot of time to come back around and circle back to that relationship and to find forgiveness. But my mom and I are very close now. And I'm so grateful for her for being my first teacher of kindness, because she really was the one who saw the downtrodden and believed in them and loved them.
Well, I recommend everyone go get this book, The Negativity Remedy by Nicole Phillips, and well said about what you're grateful for. Mamas are amazing.
Yes,
So,
they
thank
are.
you so much.
Thank you. This was great.